Today on Video Fashion News, it's all about clean and contemporary design for Spring 2019. The Fashion Institute of Technology's 2018 Couture Council Award Luncheon honors Narciso Rodriguez. Plus, step back into the Video Fashion Vault to revisit the designer's illustrious career.
Narciso epitomizes artistry of fashion. He's an old-school couturier-type designer who really makes these body-worshipping clothes that make women look beautiful.
Boss showcases their first combined men's and women's runway for spring.
This is the way I like to look, fashionable and classy at the same time. That's why I like it.
And head over to Berlin to see the latest collection for Hugo Boss's diffusion line, Hugo. 19-year-old designer Taofeek Abijako presents a collection based on West African youth culture.
It's all about starting a conversation and continuing that conversation, because as designers, we have the luxury to do that. In a way, it's a privilege.
Plus, Sally Lapointe draws her inspiration from a science fiction comic book series for her latest runway.
She's a brilliant show person. To me, she's the future of what people should be looking at and how they show and what they produce.
And much more to come on Video Fashion News. Ushering in New York Fashion Week, the Fashion Institute of Technology's annual Couture Council Award Luncheon benefits the school's museum, which is the only in New York City dedicated to the art of fashion.
The Couture Council Award for Artistry of Fashion supports the museum. This makes it possible for us to put on exhibitions and public programs, all free to the public.
This year's luncheon and red carpet was held at Lincoln Center and honored designer Narciso Rodriguez for his outstanding contributions to the fashion industry.
It's an incredible honor. It means a great deal to me to have this great institute and the council think so highly of my work that they will want to recognize my career and my work like this.
The fact that it's honoring Narciso is a dream, because he's one of the nicest, sweetest, most talented designers who just isn't always in the spotlight but dresses fabulous people, and is just a sweetheart.
Narciso epitomizes artistry of fashion. He's kind of an old-school couturier-type designer who drapes and understands patterns and who really makes these body-worshipping clothes that make women look beautiful.
It's one of the most important fashion schools in the world, and it's an institute that's been here for so long and brought us so much talent. And I've always tried to participate and help and be there to support them, and so it's very sweet to have this recognition from them.
This event is so extraordinarily important for so many reasons. Celebrating a remarkable designer is important who's had a long-standing career. Celebrating FIT is incredibly important. This is one of the premier institutions in this city, and our reputation goes around the world. So what would be better than to start Fashion Week with this and this extraordinary designer?
Narciso Rodriguez exploded onto the international fashion scene in 1997 with exquisitely tailored, sexy clothes for real women. Bucking the trends each season, he delivered sculptural, modern style that complements what's already in his client's closet.
I'm not really so interested in creating things for a runway or for the moment or for the season as much as things that work with the things that I designed last season and sort of become the things in a woman's wardrobe that she cannot part with.
He always does such elegant, streamlined collections, which are great for real women who can look very glamorous, but also go to work in these clothes and go out to dinner in these clothes. American sportswear, at its absolute best.
And the sharpness and the precision of his work and the cut and the flow at the same time is something very modern and very, very New York American about it. He's one of my favorite designers in the business. I mean, he's a really great guy as well as being, I think, one of America's best designers.
Rodriguez honed his pure, clean style at Calvin Klein, but it was in 1995 that he first made people take notice of his talent as design director at Cerruti. While there, he gained front-page coverage with his wedding dress for Carolyn Bissett's marriage to John F. Kennedy Jr. In 1997, he launched his own line. Simultaneously, he took the helm at Spanish leather luxury house Loewe. For 4 years, he divided his time between Madrid, Paris, Milan, and New York, as he created looks for both lines each season. His sleek, architectural looks quickly earned him celebrity fans.
His clothes are perfect. They're sexy, very feminine, very womanly, but never over the top.
His clothing, I think, is cut so well for women. Most of his stuff is all cut on the bias. Even if it's a tank top, everything fits well and makes you feel good, and it's timeless.
I, for some reason, always feel when I put them on like this is the right dress for my body type. He really knows where to find the curves and where to kind of hide the curves.
He knows when to pull back and not to add more. There's a simplicity about his work that is just so elegant and timeless. I mean, the clothing really doesn't have a season. You buy something 6 years ago, it still looks gorgeous if you keep your body the same shape.
The adulation also comes from his peers. Rodriguez was the first designer in history to receive consecutive CFDA awards for women's wear, which he did in 2002 and 2003. Rodriguez expanded into menswear as the company grew, but has always stayed true to his vision and to the women for whom he designs.
I think if you have to reinvent yourself every season, you really don't have a vision, I think. I mean, I've never thought about reinventing myself because I'm doing the same thing in different ways and new ways and evolving.
After over 20 years in the business, Rodriguez has cemented himself as a classic, timeless designer and continues to thrive in an ever-evolving industry.
They've been working in my studio and very focused on the creation of a dress and a seam, and then 20 years flew by. I never thought of it in those terms or that longevity had such meaning, but I guess in fashion it does mean a lot, and I'm very proud of that today.
Okay, one more. Great.
At New York Fashion Week, Boss presented its first combined men's and women's show, led by designer Ingo Wiltz. The collection was young and cool, offering more casual and sporty pieces for the Hugo Boss customer.
Actually, this is my first time to the show. My first time, I'm very excited. This is the way I like to look, fashionable and classy at the same time. That's why I like it. I feel great because it's not that easy to have a suit to fit you perfect like this. Yeah, very comfortable, yeah. You know, for a tall guy, it's not that easy. You know, little flavor, it's always good. Oh yeah, you love it? Okay, if you love it, then I love it too.
In Berlin, Hugo Boss showcased their Spring 2019 collection for the fashion house's lower-priced line, Hugo. The collection was inspired by Berlin itself, specifically 90s rave culture. The runway was staged in a warehouse that was transformed into a grungy space reminiscent of 90s techno clubs. The collection itself promoted a sort of do-it-yourself approach to dressing, celebrating those who customize their wardrobe by mixing and matching different styles from various decades. Pops of bright color were seen throughout, from acid yellows to neon orange, as well as workwear elements like fanny packs, straps, and drawstrings. The collection was cool, casual, and eccentric, and would certainly seem at home on the Berlin nightlife scene.
The inspiration for this season is concept-driven from last season and building on that. And it's based on West African youth culture in the 70s, and in a way, bunching it up and combining it with modern West African youth culture. Then the translation, me as a West African, I will translate Afrofuturism, inspired by Sun Ra and Funkadelic. Pretty much the translation is interwoven with the culture, so it's like analyzing that and in a way portraying that for this show. In terms of the clothing, the styling, like very 70s. In terms of the graphic, inspired by Fela Kuti, who was a pioneer. Fela has been an inspiration from the very first day. So building on past research and accumulated ideas and combining them all together. The research involved in that is me digging into what old clothing back when I was in Nigeria and what would I wear. Also, my parents looking at the old photography they had, the album, and asking them a few questions here and there and trying to figure out what would they want during that time period and what's also worn now and combining that. In terms of materials for this season, lots of corduroys. And also linen fabrics. PVC pants on one of the models. It's all about starting a conversation and continuing that conversation. That's what the brand is about. Dialogues regarding socio-political issues and continue on. That's super important because as designers, we have the luxury to do that. In a way, it's a privilege to be able to tell the stories through collections, the clothes and all that.
Sally Lapointe's 2019 collection was inspired, according to the designer, by the comic book series East of West, a science fiction western set in a dystopian America.
I have been following Sally for years, like literally her first show on, and she did one of those things where she's a brilliant show person. She puts up simple, elegant productions that really just inspire.
Taking cues from her science fiction meets Western inspiration, Sally Lapointe's collection combined futuristic elements like PVC and vinyl with more classic American pieces and the occasional Western references like fringe detailing.
She's so smart, she's so sharp, a monochrome palette, a tight collection.
Monochromatic palette and clean styling gave the collection a contemporary and easy feel.
To me, she's the future of what people should be looking at and how they show and what they produce.
So our brand is called Sunday School, and Sunday School is a smokewear brand. And what smokewear is we make high quality goods for the high-minded people. We really focus on comfort and function. So a lot of these pieces, we have the elastics in the back, have a lot of functional pockets for you to store stuff. This season, it's called Darsanbi, which stands for weed scholar. And those two things really usually, like stoner, scholar, those two words really don't go well together. But we wanted to explore a world in which those two things are not mutually exclusive. Right here, I'm sure there are so many who are both. That was kind of our inspiration behind it. Sunbi is a Korean traditional scholar, and weed culture is very taboo in Korea. So we had to imagine a world where Korean traditional Sunbis are teaching people how to hit bongs, how to roll J's. We wanted to kind of modernize the Sunbi and bring him to life. We have a lot of very classic crew neck shapes. We have a lot of the well put together smoke suits, as we call them. But most importantly, there's a lot of significant research that we put behind the pockets or the patches. They're from our culture, but we had to kind of modernize them. And how we kind of did that is looking into math, looking into what is the best way to layer and how and what angle, and then we tested with so many different stuff. We even used the golden ratio. That kind of understanding and exploration was something that is just something that I love to do and hope to continue doing.
During New York Fashion Week, French footwear label Arche celebrated its 50th anniversary with a capsule collection and traveling pop-up store named Arche 68 in honor of their founding year.
We're doing a tour from Paris to New York to Tokyo. We've been international for a very long time, and now it's about sharing our passion for shoes, for French shoes, their style and unique signature. We worked on a dozen exclusive creations based around the idea of non-color. Arche has been known since the beginning for its color, so the game this time was about winter whites. We were able to play with excessively simple and pure shapes with the flexibility that is so specific to Arche.
I worked with Arche. We were doing pop-up shops around the world. So I just designed a kind of a flexible pop-up system that can be shipped around the world very easily. It's kind of like what I call sensual minimalism, like their shoes. They're kind of minimal, but they're organic and kind of soft and sensual and comfortable.
What matters for us is our nouveau luxe spirit, a relaxed spirit, high quality, and most of all, to know how to fit a good shoe. My greatest pleasure is to see someone try one on for the first time.